Thank you for tuning in to Mr. Cliff's Toy Shop. On today's review, we take a look at the Threezero Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood Deluxe 1/6 scale Alphonse Elric and Edward Elric 2-pack. Today I'll be reviewing these figures in the following categories: accessories, articulation, design. Are they essential to your collection? Functionality and price. Once those scores are totaled, I'll give you my opinion if these two figures are a pass or a purchase. So these figures I desperately wanted to review in 2020. However, that just didn't happen. And here we are all the way in April, and I'm just opening up these boxes. So I'm pretty excited to see what these figures look like and what they're about. So for accessories, this 2-pack comes jam-packed. Let's start with Alphonse. So to my surprise, we get an alternate head sculpt of that goofy and silly animation, and I absolutely love this. Not the head sculpt that So for articulation, the head is, well, once I snap that piece in, the head is able to look down all the way, rotate. You get a great amount of pivot. And once I can get this piece to settle, the head barely looks up. So with the arm, able to drop down, is able to extend out about to that much. It is able to rotate a full 360. You have not an upper bicep cut, but you do have a point of rotation right here. The elbows are single jointed, bending in about that much. The wrists are on a ball peg, so you get it to move any direction you need it to move. So now with the torso, you get that floating upper portion. It's able to rotate a great amount. It's able to crunch forward. Just trying to use the top part about that much. Backwards, barely any. And you get some good pivot. Using the combination of the two, it's able to go back, not that far, forward, much further. And no rotation at the waist. With the legs, they're able to kick apart about that far. They do drop down. So barely able to kick forward, get kick way back. You get some decent rotation. Next point of rotation is at the foot, which is able to turn. It goes down about that much, forward that much, and good pivot in and out. The knees are double jointed, bending in about that much. And you don't have a butterfly joint. Well, maybe you have something. It does move in that much, out that much. So with Edward, the head is able to look, using the combination of the neck, about that far. It's able to come all the way down, rotate, great amount of pivot, and you get some shift back and forth. The arms pop off pretty easily, so go up about that much, which is pretty limited. The automel arm popped off, goes out about the same. You have no upper bicep cut, as this is all silicone. So the next point of rotation will be at the wrist. Wrist is on a ball peg, moves how you need it to. The arm is able to fully rotate. It's able to bend in about that much, and you see that part creasing. The automel arm is able to bend in about that much. Same point of rotation. So with the torso, hard to tell, but there's certainly a floating piece. He's able to crunch forward that much, just using the A portion, backwards that much. You get some rotation, great amount of pivot. Using the combination of the two, he's able to crunch forward much further, backwards a good amount. Get some rotation at the waist. It is very tight, and better range of movement or pivot. The legs, due to the pants, are only able to stretch out about that much. If you take them off, which you have the option as he has shorts, they can go further. You do have a point of rotation. The next point of rotation appears to be at the foot, and it's the same for both legs. So the foot is able to go down that much, up that much, decent amount of pivot inside and out, and it's about the same for the other foot. The knees are double jointed, bending all the way up. And you have a sort of butterfly joint moving forward that much, backwards that much. Same thing for this arm. So for articulation, Alphonse has some limitations. It's a man in a suit, well, it's a child in a suit of armor, but a human cannot move with medieval armor as good as Al can, so I'll be giving him at least an 8. And for Edward, at minimum, I'll be giving him an 8. I considered a 9. So for overall articulation, I'll be giving the 2 an 8 out of 10. So for design, let's start out with Alphonse. And man, just take a look at the paintwork here. Like, I thought that this figure was die cast when I first got it out. It is not die cast. This is plastic. So we'll go over some of the different textures. But let's zoom out for a quick moment and let's start with the head. And I'm just gonna prop this off for a moment. So I actually forgot that Alphonse did have hair on his armor. I had to go back to take a look at some images, but I just really want you to see the weathering here. And this is prominent all over the body of the figure, but you can see sort of the wearing down of the steel itself, and it's everywhere. Just the speckling. You can see the mouth part here, just all done very well. This is extreme weathering. And let's put this aside for a moment because it's one part that I want to show that is so important. And let's zoom in a little bit, and it's this area right here. And this is what Edward used to absolutely save his brother. So the fact that they took time to put that element in my opinion, is fantastic. And if you continue to look in, you get your first, or second actually, because you have to count this plastic, but your second look at different texture, and it's this chain mail, and this is done extremely well. Now I have to see how far this comes up, if I'm able to display it in certain ways, but we'll see. And just continuing, you see the brown straps on the arm, which are actually done in another material. Not sure exactly what this is, but it feels leather-ish. And you pop that up, and here I thought was another texture as well, but this appears to be plastic. And I just want to spin Alphonse to the back so that you can see the paintwork just continues. This is not something that they just did up top or on the front of the figure. It is all over, and it just looks phenomenal. And just going down to the arms themselves, here we get more texture, different material. This is some cloth type material, very soft but thick. And then continuing, you can see that same material right here, and I love how they use that to cover the ball peg. And then coming here, we also get some soft goods, and it's dirty, and I really like that attention to detail. And then that continues on the leg. And again, you're just going to hear me saying this, just the weathering just continues all the way down. Getting down to the knees, you see that cloth material inside of this plastic armor. And even coming to the feet, it is hair again. I am so impressed what Threezero did with this. So before I get Alphonse out of the way, I just want to throw in Edward for a moment. As you can see the height difference, and this is Alphonse without a head. So it is a considerable size difference. As you can see, Alphonse towers over Edward. So first I want to give you a complete shot of the body itself, and then we can zoom in for better details. And I'll bring this figure down so we can see properly. But just to take a look at the head sculpt, let me back up just a bit. Threezero did a phenomenal job with the face. I really like the different coloring in the hair itself. As you can see, the fishbone ponytail sort of carried through in the back, and you can see the different highlights from the ponytail all the way up. The eyes are big and bright, as they should be. Now, if it's one critique, well, I guess I'm critiquing the entire figure. I don't want to say a complaint because it's not a complaint. The eyes appears to be done in a sticker. Now, I'm not 100% sure if that's true, but the way that the eyes are shining, this doesn't appear to be a glass or marble. It has a sticker type of look, so that's my one sort of complaint. But even on the face, you have some coloring. There is red that's coming out around the mouth, some in the cheek area. And then when you get down to the garments, and they absolutely nail this. So this part here clips, it's a little detached. My son actually did this. But just to take a look at the different type of clothing that we're seeing here. So we see his coat, which does have a hood. And if you turn it to the back, you see that alchemy sign. And if you look at the bottom of it, it is very worn down and dirty. Let's bring that in a little bit closer. I love the way that looks. So flipping him around, the white gloves are super clean. Opening this, and I don't want to take it off for the moment, but then you get your next layer of soft goods. And then underneath that, you also have a shirt, and all the items fit relatively well. Moving down to the belt, which actually has buckles. You can see areas here which are painted. I really love that. And then you have a chain going into his pocket, leading out to this watch. That is phenomenal. And I'm going to zoom in for a moment so that you can see that there are actually inscriptions on the watch itself. So we're going to put that back in his pocket. Well, we'll leave it out for the time being. But then continuing down, the pants are done well. The boots, I am really feeling the boots. And you can see the attention to detail, the dirty in some areas. You can see here to where it looks like the glue is wearing down. And if you turn them, they actually have shape at the bottom. Man, they did a real phenomenal job with this. So for design, both characters look like they jumped directly out of the anime, and I'll be giving both of the brothers a 10 out of 10 for design. So are these two characters essential to your collection? For those of you who've watched this series, and what an amazing anime series it was, perhaps one of my favorite animes of all times. These two brothers are the protagonists of the series. Edward has more of a driving story, however Alphonse is very connected to his brother and the entire story as a whole. So as far as being essential to your collection, there is no Fullmetal Alchemist without these two. So as far as being essential to your collection, I'm going to give the two brothers a 10 out of 10. So are these figures essential to your collection? For those of you who've had the privilege to watch the anime, and what a fantastic anime it was, perhaps one of my favorite of all time, these two characters are the protagonists. I would say Edward more so leads the story. However, Alphonse is very connected and nearly as important to the story as his brother is. Another factor for scoring these two figures, if I'm not mistaken, this is the only 1/6 scale version of these two figures that we have, articulated anyway. And I don't see that changing unless Threezero decides to give us another version of these two characters. So as far as being essential to your collection, I'm going to give the two brothers a 10 out of 10. So for functionality, I have broke down this entire figure as he's meant to be. However, I was not recording. And I apologize, but I am not going to spend the time doing that again. However, I will walk through the process. So let's just start with the head for a moment, which is attached to that piece. But the reason I want to take the head off first is just to show you, if you give a little snug to the hair, well, it's a little more than I want to, you can see that the head gives way to a battery compartment. And yes, it has a light up feature. How fantastic is that? And unlike some other figures that are hard to install the batteries, you push the batteries down, it's only 3. This should be relatively easy. At this time in the video, I do not have batteries. I'm going to see if I can get some before I actually post this video so I can show you what the light up feature looks like. But I really like how Threezero was able to conceal this. You can't even tell that that is a compartment once you have the top of the headpiece attached. So we're gonna put this aside for a moment. So before we completely break apart this figure, I just want to show something that I showed in the design part. I really like the fact that they have this removable piece here that you can fully remove, and the fact that this, what's supposed to be chainmail, is really a soft material. That way it does not block the transmutation sign. So now, before we go on, I want to prop in the second head that comes with him. And man, this looks just like it's out of the anime. Do you see that? Now, I probably will not display him like this unless I'm taking pictures with Edward, who has a head that's very similar, but I'm very happy that they included this. So what goes a long way in the functionality department is having soft goods such as this, the soft goods that are implemented in between the arms, the knee area, as well as the ankles. And you can see that this piece here also moves, which allows him to get more range. So they really did a good job when it came to engineering. Now, one of the things that I'm not thrilled about is that the hands do not have the hinge or ball peg attached. So I had a difficult, maybe difficult is a bit of an exaggeration, but a tough time putting the hand on. Now, once it's on, it stays in place. I had no issues with it falling off. So for the hands, I elected not to take them out of the plastic. Sorry if you want cleaner images, but I just don't want to take them out as I'm not going to use them right now, and this plastic helps. So you have 2 open hands. And you have 2 reaching hands. And as you can see, Alphonse stands fine on his own. He's been standing fine on his own on each segment that we went through. So with all of that out the way, now let's get into the breakdown part, which I've mentioned already. I did not hit record. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show some images. So starting with the arm, right, you'll see the difference between this one and this one, which I already pulled down. So with that pulled down, you're able to disconnect the arm right at this soft point here simply by pulling down so. Once that arm piece is disconnected, you then of course repeat the same process with the other arm. Next area that you want to go would be the chest. Once this is removed, it's easier to pull this chest region out right about here. And then the chest opens. The legs are also able to drop down. Don't think you've seen that. Once you're able to drop the leg down, you can remove the full leg at the knee right here just by pulling down. Once that's done, it then gives you the image of Alphonse with a broken down armor. I can't believe this series has been out for so long, and I'm going to say spoiler alert. So I won't get into why he looks this particular way. For those of you who've seen the series, you know. For those who are interested in watching, you'll find out. And I can't believe Threezero thought to do this. Like, they really went above and beyond to really capture so many moments in the series, so many important moments, and I think that that's fantastic. So for overall functionality, I am going... Oh wait, I can't do overall functionality. I haven't got to Edward yet. Okay, so now for functionality for Edward. This is going to be so long, so I'm going to try to speed this up. So let's start with the head. Now, one of the things, let's see for a moment before, because it appears that it is. Let's just pop this head off. I thought so. So one of the things that I like is that if you can see, you get a great range of movement with the neck itself. It's able to go forward, backwards, side to side, and it's also a very soft material, perhaps silicone. So you do have to worry about that cracking in time, but it does give great range. Now, with the face, the front of the hair is interchangeable. I'm not sure. Well, I can see how it's done. Okay. Pretty similar to Bandai with their removable hair and face plates. So before I change the hair, let's just change the face. We'll go with the serious one. Let's prop that on and let's put the same hair back. There you go. Now let's remove the hair again. Let's put the same faceplate on and let's put the second hair sculpt that we receive, which is this one. And that props. This one is a little harder to fit in. Maybe it's only really for one of the other head sculpts, but just to give you an idea of how they look. Now with this out of the way, I'm going to do something that I don't like to do, and that's removing soft good items. So before we remove this coat, I do want to show that there's a bendy wire. The bendy wire comes from all the way up top, all the way down. It stops right here, and where the coat splits, it begins on the other side right there. He also comes with a hood, which drapes pretty well over the head. Nope, let's show that now. This ponytail does get in the way, so yeah, the ponytail absolutely gets in the way, so you're really not going to be able to get it to go over. All right, now with that said, let's take off some of the clothes. So I'm trying to save time here. So to get off the coat, first thing that you want to do is remove the hands. Once the hands are removed, you just want to place the arms back, which I just popped one out of the socket, and slowly shimmer it downwards until it comes off. Now that that's off, I want to remove this, so I have to unpin that, which I'll do so by pinching together. Now that I've managed to do that, I'm going to go ahead and completely remove this. The arms are already to the back. I'm just going to shimmy it down. Now that that's removed, I decided to just pop the arms off. Hopefully it's not a big deal to put them back on. We'll try now. Arm goes in well. Arms are popped back on. Wanted to show this pocket watch for the last time, as this is phenomenal. They could have put this as a piece of plastic, but they decided to actually put a piece of metal chain. I really like that. And the fact that the pockets are actually pockets, you can put this in its pockets. Again, great attention to detail. So what we're going to do, we're going to go now to the bottom. We want to remove the boots. So I'm assuming a quick pull. Oops. Yep. I'm going to pull this as well. All right. Is that grease? It is grease. Yes, on the bottom of that. All right. So now that we have the figure looking this way, we want to put on some of the other parts that come with this figure. So as I mentioned in the accessories part, for each hand, human flesh hand that he also has a metal hand. I won't be able to show them all. Two reasons. One, I'm trying to save time. Secondly, I don't know where my son put them. So for the flesh hand, we're going to go with this one. For this hand, we're going to go with the gripping one, as we have something to grip later on, and I'm trying to save time. Okay, goes on easy enough. Just to quickly show something before I forget, this part here is removable, but not only is it removable, the sections do, once it's on, you're able to lift this section up. Now that the hands are completely on, let's place on the feet. So here's Edward in all of his glory, looking absolutely amazing. For anyone wondering, this is a silicone arm. I know some collectors have concerns with silicone. I do as well, but I prefer it. I really like the seamless look, and I don't plan to keep this arm in any poses that it shouldn't be in. Now, here is where I found something else out about this figure, and Threezero is just really blowing my mind with this figure. If you look on the inside, you could see that the arm just didn't stop here. They decided to continue that metal look all the way in, straight through the back. And you can even see some stitch work right here. So here's the part where y'all gonna be pretty disappointed. I am not taking that t-shirt off. In order to do so, I have to pull it out of the pants. I don't mind doing that, but getting it back in here, I don't want to take the time to do that. Edward also comes with additional clothes, as if what he comes with isn't enough. So he has a pair of boxers, which I'm really curious to how they fit, as well as a tank top, which should have the same fit as that, but I'm not going to take the time to put those things on. I'll see if I'm able to find some images and show what he looks like with these items. So I nearly forgot that Edward comes with this steel pole, which should just fit in this hand. I'm hoping that it just pushes through. As this hand is locked in place, there's no way to pry the fingers apart. So this is way too thick to pry through the hand, and the fact that the hands are locked together, the fingers are locked together, you can't do so. So you're able to separate this. Once it's separated, you're just going to push this part in like so. You'll attach the other part, and here is Edward. So this item comes with another accessory. I don't know how this works. At first I thought this goes up here, but now I think it actually goes over his arm. So let's see. Okay, so to attach this piece, you need to remove this portion right here. And it doesn't come off too easy. I feel scared, so let me work that out. Okay, so don't be scared. All you need to do is pull up and it does come off, giving some way to some circuitry. And what did I do with it? So you can see 3 grooves, 1, 2, 3, and you can see the 3 groove indentations here, and you just pry that on. Once on, it looks like that. So look, we got a, so for functionality, such amazing work. I'm gonna give the 2-pack a 10 out of 10. Pricing, this 2-pack comes in at $278. That is before taxes, that is before shipping. I made the mistake of ordering it from a company that charges way too much for shipping. As another company that offered cheaper shipping, I didn't see the same accessories, so I thought the 2-pack deluxe set was different with the 2 companies. So throw in taxes, that brings this figure to about $300. I paid about $25 for shipping, so you're saying a price point of $325. So now is the 2-pack worth the price of admission? So let's see what it comes with. In terms of accessories, it won't disappoint you at all. Both figures come with a slew of accessories, which is specific to episodes of the anime or manga. Now, while I can sit here and spend 5 minutes on the accessories alone, this video is already long enough. So for pricing, I cannot believe that you get this 2-pack for a price point of under $300 before taxes. This, I'll get into that part shortly. So for overall pricing, I'm going to give the 2-pack a 10 out of 10. That will give this 2-pack an overall cliff score of... So now, is this 2-pack a pass or a purchase? I cannot believe that we got this much engineering, this many accessories, this many scene-specific moments with each of these characters for under $300. This is absolutely a purchase. I would normally say, hey, if you're an anime fan, if you're a fan of the show, if you're a fan of fantastic action figures, this is a 2-pack to absolutely have in your collection. I just wish that I had these figures in time for 2020, because it's no doubt that this 2-pack would have been my top 12 out of the year. This 2-pack is so amazing, I actually went back to see if I can find Edward by himself, as you can buy the figure separately. I don't think I need another Alphonse, but I do want another Edward, as there are so many ways to display him. Right now, for the sites that I've checked, he is sold out on each one. I'll continue to look because he's worth having 2 in my collection. So now let's go to a few comparisons, size comparisons, that is. Edward by himself. Here he is next to McFarlane's DT Multiverse Azrael. As you can see, much larger. This is a 1/6 scale figure. Here he is next to Marvel Select Psylocke. Here he is next to the Hot Toys Iron Spider, which may not stand on his own. Not sure why I'm doing this, but here he is next to the McFarlane Azrael. As you can see, not even as tall as the leg. Here he is next to the Hot Toys Iron Spider. Here he is next to an Iron Man figure. I think this was Heartbreaker, maybe. Here he is next to a larger Iron Man figure. Don't remember what that was. Peacemaker, maybe? And for our last comparison, here he is next to the Iron Man Red Snapper. So I want to thank you for tuning in to Mr. Cliff's Toy Shop. I hope to see you during the next review.